One semifinal is done, and the third ticket to the Final Four about to be punched. The IMG Academy, the ICC Futures, Vasco da Gama against Chivas de Guadalajara, our third quarterfinal of the day. Phil Shane alongside Tony Miola, two storied teams, two legendary sides in their native countries, and maybe some legends on the field in the making. And Tony, you take a look at Felipe Oliveira, the goalkeeper for Vasco da Gama. We talked about this in between games. There's some kids that get the early growth break. He might have stopped growing.
Yeah, he may have stopped, or maybe he hasn't stopped growing. There's no doubt
he's
an imposing figure for this Vasco side, and a very commanding player as well. And I think, you know, as a goalkeeper, having played for so many years, your defenders want that. They want to feel that you're behind them, and he's a guy that is very engaged in the game, I will say.
Vasco da Gama coming in, winning Group 3 with a perfect mark. They have yet to allow a goal. And we'll talk about the particulars as the captain's out at midfield with referee Gabriel Giusti today. And take a look at the earlier matches. One semifinal is set. It will be AS Roma against PSG. It was Roma holding off Real Madrid at bay, and Paris Saint-Germain with a strong second half. Vasco, Chivas, Barça, Benfica in the other half of the draw. And there's a good look at Ryan Rocha, who is on his way to a golden boot. 4 goals already, and it doesn't look like he's done.
Yeah, no, he's an exciting player. He likes to get behind defenses, gets on the end of things, and pretty imposing player as well. You're looking at this Vasco side, and well, they're a pretty solid team, I'll call them here, Phil, as you look at them physically.
Take a look at how they got here, shutting out North Carolina in the very first. NCFC followed by the ICC Midwest All-Star squad. 6-0, no mercy shown, and then Juventus 1-0. That was a tough battle, and it was a little testy, but Vasco stood strong. And there, a good look at Gabriel Camacho, who will be running the front line. Gabriel Sandor Camacho. And for Chivas, they come in as one of the second-place teams. 6 points, just one back of Real Madrid. They lost their opener in penalties against Houston, edged ICC East, and then won against Real Madrid in the final group game on penalties. Starting lineup for Vasco da Gama, and it will be Felipe in goal. Again, keep an eye on Ryan in the midfield.
And Lucas and Ryanson in that back four there will anchor this defense. Very good coming out of the back.
As far as Chivas goes, take a look in goal, Santiago Hernandez, and Francisco Leal has probably been the danger man.
Yeah, he has been, and you mentioned Gabriel Sandor Camacho down that left wing. Will have to create on the dribble a little bit for Chivas today.
There's a good look at Gabriel Giusti, our referee here today in Bradenton. And the whistle blows, and we are underway. It is the familiar white with the black sash of Vasco, defending the goal to the left, and those red and blue colors of Chivas, attacking from right to left. Flying down this near sideline, finally into touch. It'll be a throw-in for Vasco da Gama. Formation-wise, Vasco coming in that 4-4-2 with the two wide attackers, Guilherme and Breno. Meanwhile, for Chivas, playing more of a 4-3-3. Everything running through Alexis Martinez, who scored the lone goal against Houston. Ball into the middle, poked away before Mateus could get there. Looking to try and break through the middle. It's Francisco Leal. Leal in a foot race against Lucas Correa. Gets to the 18, still on his feet. Turns the corner, tries to square, loose at the spot, and cleared away. Rebound shot, slapped away Felipe. That one looked destined for the corner. Chivas still on the attack, and it's finally cleared away. Vasco da Gama almost put to the sword early.
Well, the first test here to see Felipe in goal as he's outstretched. This ball gets played in. Great work up top by Leonardo Leal. Gets around his defender, Lucas. That'll be an interesting battle to watch. A good ball played back, and then driven from about 25 out. Felipe had to be sharp early in this one to keep Vasco at 0-0.
Over on that far flank, little slip from Breno. And you see the numbers. The standard 1 through 18 for Vasco da Gama on this under 14 side. For Chivas, let's just say they had to use a little more plastic on the jerseys. 3-digit numbers and in the 300s for almost everyone. It's just the way that they're registered in Mexico. I guess it's a good thing this isn't down in the under 10s, otherwise you might be into 4 digits.
And it's part of their history down in Mexico, and as the numbers get lower, you start getting closer to the first team.
That's a little incentive.
It certainly is. Early on, Chivas, the brighter of the two sides, in tight spaces here, getting out of a lot of trouble.
Ball through the center circle, cutting back is Castro, trying to flick it wide, but pulled back by Miguel Sanchez. Nice tackle just outside the 18. Height advantage for the Brazilians, but there tends to be a little bit more firepower at the moment for Chivas. Eduardo Jr., the man putting the pieces of this Vasco da Gama puzzle together. Guilherme on this near side, forward for Esteban. Blasted long upfield by Chivas. The wind seems to catch it. And touched towards Felipe's net, and he handles it with ease. And again, it is windy here. That's going to play a role.
And how active has Leonardo Leal been so far? There he's trying to put it over Felipe's head from distance. A good look. He's been very bright so far, giving the two center backs for Vasco something to think about.
Breno threading it long. A little touch by Igor. Headed back. And there is some height on that back line for Chivas, but Juan Diego Capuchino is going to have his work cut out for him. Vasco forced back. Slicing ball for Igor, intercepted by Sandor Camacho. Looks long. Blocked away by Lucas Correa. Chivas gets it back. Charging down the line, Uribe tries to cut into the 18, but Lucas Correa getting there first.
And so far, the two of the three forwards from Chivas would make that man Jose Padilla happy with the movement up top. They haven't yet to get Gabriel Sandor Camacho on this left-hand side into it, but on that right-hand side so far, looking pretty good for Chivas.
One man to beat, trying to go around. Top of the box, swept away. Slicing in was Omar Castellanos. His keeper was out, but he couldn't take the chance.
I got a quick look there. Leon, when he gets the ball and has space in behind the defender, it's a push and it's a go, and then it's going to become a foot race. And that time pushed it a bit too far. Good read. The Chivas back four.
Over on that far side touch. Rolled in for Breno. Taken down right in front of the referee, and a free kick for Vasco just outside the area.
Well, Breno's one of these guys that loves to get on the ball, dribble at defenders. This time he draws a foul in a very dangerous position here. You mentioned the wind, Phil. It's blowing crosswind into the goal here. Something Santiago Hernandez will certainly have to deal with. This cross will whip in a lot quicker.
And when it starts to bend, it will bend. Trying to mark that near post, Hernandez. A couple yards off of his line, leaning near post. Ball driven in low, skips around, knocked to the top of the box, trying the side volley. Blocked away and headed clear by Martinez. Launched back into the box by Wennison and grabbed right on the doorstep by Hernandez.
I don't think Breno got that one exactly like he wanted to hit it. Need to get it over that first defender in the space.
Into the center, cut out by Capuchino. Vasco out wide. Second man in. Switched to the near side. Guilherme trying to track it down. Flying in Castellanos, but it's out for the throw-in.
Good battle down this right-hand side with Guilherme.
Esteban Turning shot that curls off the outside of the boot.
That one bounced up nicely to his left foot. And one thing in mind that's trying to steer it on frame is this comes off an innocent throw in, and a couple players battling for it, bounces up, and look how nicely it lays up there for Ryan.
It's still getting his bearings, but you can see the danger. It's Chivas coaching staff screaming instructions to the point where Hernandez not exactly sure which one to follow. Eventually just launching it back to midfield, trying to flick it on, a foul.
You see on that goal kick there, very difficult for Hernandez to get it even near midfield with the wind blowing right in his face.
With that in mind,
another ball that checked up again here.
Would it almost be, I don't want to say survival, but play a little bit more defensive, a little more cautious in this first half, and hope to take advantage of the win of the second?
You look at Chivas, they're a team that likes to put the ball on the deck, so it really shouldn't affect the way they play. Certainly on goal kicks, if you're trying to play long, it's going to be difficult for Hernandez.
Sanchez sees it stripped away. Rayan making the run. They're threaded forward, but the keeper read it as well. Santi Hernandez, the top of his box.
And on the other side of things, on the flip side there, a through ball like that in the air is going to immediately get to the goalkeeper, so both teams have to adjust a little bit.
Again, strange spin on the turf. Mateus flicking it forward, headed clear, nodded away by Castellanos. Launched to midfield. And again, it looks like it's going to go further, then it just hangs in the air and dies. Swept away, but pulled back by Guilherme. On the turn, Paulo Roberto into the middle. And Cappuccino. As you said, they do like to put it on the turf, but there is that idea of just getting it out of the danger zone. Might hold on the spin. Blasted into the middle. Good anticipation by Mateus, but a poor touch. Chivas able to slam it back to the Vasco end. Esteban Amaral across midfield. Missing the run of Breno.
A little choppy so far from both sides. Chivas very comfortable out of the back with the ball here. 2 passes. They're at midfield already in the attacking part of the field. Game's opening up.
Ball takes a while getting there. Good anticipation by Castellanos as he steps in, though. Camacho. Little collision. Ball pops free for Mateus. Vergara stepping forward. Now another chance for Victor Vergara. Something we talked about earlier, how for these youth teams, in some ways, even at the under 14 level, you can see the roots of the club. For Vasco da Gama, you're talking about just the formation, the style, the roles. For Chivas as well.
Well, it's in tight spaces for Chivas, building out of the back, being confident with the ball, not being afraid to play into players' feet like that when you've got pressure on you. We've seen this from Chivas over the years. As a club, ball played in. Just a bit anxious here.
Juanish in the foul.
Yeah.
Long from Cappuccino. Header over the back, maybe a bit of a collision. Touched and down that sideline. Good play by Guilherme. The pass for Galap goes away. Padilla Mendoza, the boss of this Chivas side, chatting, having a few words with Castellanos. High into the air. That one did make it across midfield. Touched. Nice idea on the crossfield for Castellanos. Settling it, looking from distance, Uribe, but can't hit it clean.
Yeah, Uribe had his sights for goal. Had a good start to this game.
Vasco beating North Carolina 2-0 in the 6-0 thrashing of the Midwest Stars. Put together from ECNL teams, so there are some academy teams, there are some CCNL teams, plus also the international teams that have come in.
We look at two sides, completely different spacing for both sides. When Chivas gets the ball, it's about triangles. It's about playing out of tight spaces. When Vasco's building out of the back, they've stretched their forwards high. They've stretched their wide players on both touch lines.
Trying to create passing lanes.
They are, and it's two completely different theories as you watch this game and see how that develops.
Good chance here, trying to come around, but a foul right at the top of the box. And with players up front like Ryan, Breno, and Ka, you can understand why Vasco wants to get it to their feet quickly.
Yeah, they want to open up that space. They can either have the option to play into feet, play over the top. The runs have to be different, so they have to have some coordination. But it's interesting to watch the two different tactics.
Slips to the near side, kept in play down the line. Giving chase Camacho. Headed to the near side, still in play. Castellanos sending it into the middle. Got to feel a little bit for Francisco Leal. Checks in about 5'6", 5'7", and he's going up against central defenders that are already getting close to 6 feet.
My guess, he's used to playing against center backs that are bigger than him. He has figured it out. His speed, when he gets his body on you, we saw it in the initial play, right? The first play for Chivas in the game. He knows how to spin you.
We saw that earlier today with PSG finding a way at the very end against Real Madrid, sticking a smaller, speedier forward up front to take advantage. Ball spins again with that wind accelerating the bend. Pushed wide by Uribe, but slammed back to midfield off of a Chivas player, and it'll be a throw in near the stripe. See some of the players and the fans in the stands, as well as quite a few scouts. Some for the college ranks, others for some pro teams. And there have been a few stars in the making that we have seen here over the last few days. Several of them on both of these teams. Ball into the middle, cut out by Wanison, stepping forward, but he leaves a body in his wake.
And I think he got the arm up here as he stole this one. Leal, yeah, was trying to close down, and he got his arm up. Referee can have a conversation with him now.
Right on the center line. Isaac Martinez ready to put it back into play. Two halves of 25 minutes each. No added time, no extra time. If there is a tie game at the end, the draw would go straight to penalties to see who moves on into the semifinals. Nice touch back by Camacho. The big of that big and little on the front line. Sweeping at Castellanos into a double team, but it's deflected off of his foot, and Vasco gets it back.
That was a good sequence there by Chivas, as we talked about. Triangles all over the field, trying to build out of tight spaces. Now Vasco opening up the game.
Alexis Gallegos skying over Kawa. Keeper telling his defender to stay back. Passed back to Hernandez. Bit of a foot race here on this near side. Good hustle by Castellanos to keep it alive. Loose, trying to grab hold again was Igor, but he gets away with it. Chivas holding on. Touched away. Breno into the box. Out comes Hernandez. Tight angle. Hernandez scrambling back. Deflected on Ryan's shot and out for the corner. That one was close.
Yeah, Ryan, when he turned the corner and beat the goalkeeper, thought he was going to try and bend it with his right foot. He got on his preferred left foot, and then he ran out of ideas. I thought maybe he could even take a touch in and wait for more runners in the box. Good ball played over the top. Dangerous for Vasco.
Ball whipped across, dangerous as it flashes in front of the far post. A diving try that just skips through, and Chivas lucky.
Yeah, Kyle at that back post. This was a product of the wind. I don't know without the wind, Phil, that it whips in. It kind of caught everybody off guard.
And in some ways, the fact it bent so much might have saved Chivas.
That's exactly what happened in the end. The misjudgment at that back post.
As a goalkeeper, as a player, what is it about the wind that makes life difficult, and how do you adapt?
It's unpredictable, right? In one minute it's blowing 20 miles an hour, and the next minute it's blowing 5 miles an hour. If you're a team that likes to put the ball over the top and play in behind defenders, you want to play into the wind. You want the ball to check up, because if not, every ball's running past you, past your forwards, into the goalkeeper's hands. We've seen that a couple times from Vasco.
Esteban Amaral fouled. Vasco the free kick. Igor into the center. Back for Ryan. Off to that far flank, and Mateus cleared away over the signage, and it'll be a throw-in far side. Well, we've already seen Roma knock out Real Madrid. PSG beating New York Red Bulls, the last U.S. team involved. Barcelona, Benfica, two sides that were impressive in their own right. Benfica, especially as a team, maybe not the superstars, but they found a way to win. And that's the next match. The winner will face the winner of this match in the semis. Flipped forward, Camacho trying to get there, slammed away into touch, and they're going to say off the Chivas player and out.
You got a quick look there. Camacho's speed as he cut across the field from this left-hand side. He hasn't been involved on the left. It looked like he's trying to find some space in the middle of the field, and almost got on the end of that one.
Bit by bit, I mean, Vasco's still dangerous. We've seen it, but Chivas doing a good job starting to neutralize their attack.
And the one thing, when you play a team like Chivas, you want to break up the rhythm. Whether it's a foul, whether it's a ball over the top, you don't want them to find a rhythm by getting 3 and 4 players in triangles and now playing 5 or 6 passes in a row, because now you start to get players forward. It's a nice little turn here by Leal.
Almost frees Camacho. Second effort, and it will come back to a foul. Now, one other thing as this game progresses, and again, there's only 50 minutes, so we've only got a half hour left. 5 minutes left in this first half, and then the 25 in the second. While Vasco da Gama did have a testy match in their group finale against Juventus, Chivas has been battling from the opening game. Penalty in the first, a 1-goal win in the second, and advancing on penalties in the third match of the group stage. They're used to playing in a tight match.
Yeah, they'll be comfortable in this situation, as you said, especially this week.
Vasco making its debut appearance in the ICC Futures. An interesting way they got here. Try to shoot right near the penalty spot, but the offside flag comes up. Tournament organizers picked 4 of the most popular clubs in Brazil. Rayan pushing it wide, challenging as Sanchez trickles away, and had them play off a game of football or two, but it wasn't the type you're normally used to seeing. It was on the computer screen. And Vasco winning the esports title to advance. And you might think, well, that's a strange way to pick a team, but they haven't been scored upon, and they might be the best team we've seen this week.
Yeah, they certainly defensively have locked things up. Fun to watch. They've got a goal scorer, one of the better goal scorers in the competition, as we've spoken about with the captain, Rayan. Again, it's been a little choppy for them so far in this first half. They got a couple minutes to figure it out here. That man, Eduardo Jr., will have some thoughts, I'm sure, at halftime. Make some adjustments. Been no substitution so far for either side.
Good point. Some teams will shuttle it in. It is free substitutions. Others maybe take their time to build a rhythm, build a chemistry. This will sweep in, and again, the wind will change the spin, hanging high, but it sails over everyone It's going to take a few more kicks to get the judge down, but that one sailed.
By the time they figure out, they'll have to switch sides and do it the other way.
There, Old Glory in the wind, whipping around. We've seen some 20-mile-an-hour gusts and more earlier. We've seen fog. We've seen a haze for a while, baking sun, and today a little bit of rain, and then actually getting colder as the day progresses, down into the 60s. Good weather to play in, though.
Spoken like a true Floridian for years.
Got my
cold
parka
into the 60s.
Got my parka on. Off to this near side, trying to turn it upfield was Uribe. Second effort, getting a little help from Castellanos. Shin pads taking a little clattering there, and a collision.
A good touch by my partner there, Phil Shane.
Thank you very
Knocked that
much.
one back in.
Right to feet, Esteban Amaral. But blocked away, it'll be a goal kick. And now we're down midway through the 23rd minute.
You get the sense that the game is slanting in favor of Vasco at the moment.
Got his leg into that one, did Santi Hernandez. Right inside the circle, had the short pass, but looks long. Castellanos waiting for support. Ball pops up. Castellanos slams it forward, but it slips away past Camacho. Second effort from Vergara. Goes straight to Igor. Cleared into the middle. Flying forward, Luis Felipe. Now Isaac Martinez for Chivas. Out wide. Ball swept across the middle, but too much weight on it. It will carry all the way to the near side.
Boy, Leao knows how to find space. That time down the right-hand side, whip the ball in across, looking for Camacho at that back post.
Camacho driving in, but it's parried away. Esteban giving up the throw in. Just over a minute left to go. And in some ways, you could say mission accomplished. Still another half to go, but Vasco against the wind. That might take some of the teeth out of their direct attack. Nice turn, Breno. Breno trying to turn upfield, but Miguel Sanchez gets in the way. It will be a throw in, but more time off the clock into the final minute. Some of the Chivas fans cheering on their side. Seeing fans from families and some of the other teams. PSG actually getting their girls team to start.
Yeah, it was fun to see.
Some chanting.
They got involved in the game last game.
Actually got the North Carolina boys to cheer with them.
I'm sure that was a difficult task for the North Carolina boys to join in.
Just a few seconds left to go. Again, there would be penalties if this one ends drawn, but there's still an entire half remaining. Cleared out to midfield. Igor steps up. Luis Felipe takes it wide. Back for Igor in the center of the park. 25 minutes, and that might well do it as the ball rolls far side, and it will. The first half comes to a close without a goal.
Yeah, it was a bright start from Chivas. Early on, they were able to get their foot on the ball, get players forward, find a little bit of rhythm. Then eventually Vasco grew into the game, and the game opened up. We'll see what adjustments both managers make going into this second half here. Still want to find more opportunities in that attacking third.
Going to have to take a look back at my notes, but all three games scoreless at the half?
I believe. No, I think we had Roma in that first game.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So one first half goal, but there's been plenty of action in the second and more to come. Vasco da Gama and Chivas. And this third quarter final, a ticket to the semis at stake, still awaiting our first goal. And welcome back. Taking a look at an empty field. We are just about ready to get the second half underway, but let's remind you how we got here. Scoreless at the half. And Vasco da Gama trying to impose themselves early on, but Chivas almost snuck one.
Yeah, early on, as you mentioned here, a bright start from Leonardo Leal. Felipe had to be sharp as this one was hit from distance. Good opportunity for Chivas, good build up, good composure in front of goal here. The ball's played back, driven in, and Felipe was up to the task here. Here you can see it comes through a couple of defenders. Never easy for a goalkeeper. What a great view that was. Another ball played over the top. It's that man Leal now on the right-hand side, whips a ball across, looking for Gabriel Zandor Camacho at that back post. And there were a couple of instances where the wind played a bit of a factor on balls spun in here. Almost an opportunity at that back post. Cao doesn't read it right, can't steer it on frame. Chivas probably feeling a little bit lucky.
And looking at the bench at the half, El Profe, Jose Padilla Mendoza, I think he has to feel pretty good, especially considering the fact that Vasco came out trying to force their way through, and his team read, adapted, and stymied them for the most part.
He did, and I feel like I cheated for the second half because I had one ear in his dugout as he was talking for the last 5 minutes, and the message was to be brave and don't be afraid to play the feet in tight spaces. So we'll see how that plays out.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Eduardo Jr. has his starters on the bench. That's also an interesting point. Neither team has made a substitution yet.
Yeah, and I think both managers looking to establish a rhythm with their sides, and because there maybe, Phil, was no rhythm in the game, and they felt, wow, maybe it's coming in the next minute or two, the next 3 or 4 minutes, they both decided to go with the same lineups. And of course, at some point you get to the competition and you've got to reward the guys that have played the best to get you into this position now to try and move you into a semifinal.
A good look at Felipe right there in the purple jersey in the middle. He has been impressive, and in some ways, as a former goalkeeper, you would know this. For long stretches of that match, the play was in the midfield, and the save he made to deny Chivas was difficult, but he made it look easy.
He did, and he's a bigger frame. He's a shot stopper. Again, we talked about how commanding he was in the open. He hasn't had to organize all that much in the back, so we haven't seen that part of his game, but it's certainly there. But I always said the most difficult games for goalkeepers are the ones you're not really all that involved in, and all of a sudden you're asked to make a play, and so far he's done a very good job of that.
Vasco da Gama have not given up a goal, scoring 9 without answer. 2 against North Carolina FC, 6-0 against the ICC Midwest Stars, and then the 1-0 against Juve. Those ICC squads, as well as the All-State Sueño Alianza, a little bit hard to comprehend what it's like to go up against teams like this, Chivas and Vasco, when you've pretty much seen each other for 60 minutes before the tournament gets underway. Some of them have done quite well, but when you get to this point, you can see which teams are used to playing together. Chivas, one of them, they've had to fight, scratch, and claw, taking Houston to penalties in the first, edging ICC East, and then beating Real Madrid on penalties in the third group game to actually qualify. So Real Madrid, the team that finished ahead of them, is already out of the tournament thanks to Roma, but Chivas could still be alive if they can find the goal against Vasco da Gama, the top seed in this ICC Futures. Paulo Roberto Sosa is in the match for Vasco, our first sub of the game. I have a feeling it won't be the last, but it looks like they've thrown another attacker out there.
Yeah, he's come in for William.
So taking a midfielder out, sticking another attacker in, and you can see 4 players at midfield ready to charge down, but it will be Chivas with the kick to start this second half.
Right here, give them where they had them, over here.
4-4-2 from Vasco, getting their width normally from the flanks. I haven't really seen the fullbacks push up that much. Chivas trying to string the passes together when possible. And they've actually come the closest to scoring.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And a bird's eye view now down to ground level as the second half getting underway. The white with the black sash of Vasco da Gama defending the goal to the right. The red and blue of Chivas of Guadalajara attacking from left to right. Phil Shane, Tony Miola with you. Felipe coming to the rescue for Vasco in that first half. Ball stays in play. Good work for Kawa, but he's headed back towards his own net. Tony, when you take a look at these two teams, 25-minute halves adds to the intensity. How do they approach the second stanza? Burst through the middle and then touched free. Breno from distance, but it's blocked.
Well, to your question, Phil, I think it's tough. We have to see if either team can really find a rhythm. So far, this game leads to be one of those games where you're just looking for a moment in the game, where someone breaks somebody down on a dribble, someone does something spectacular in the game, because you really don't get the sense at the moment that it's going to be a free-flowing play that gets the first goal on the board for either side.
Jose Padilla screaming instructions. One thing we saw there, almost every long kick from Chivas was almost blown back in their face in the first half. That one went a good full 3/4 of the field. Ball whipped in, trying to settle was Kawa, knocking it back. Mateus, second try for Rayan, still loose inside the 18, and then finally cleared into touch to get rid of the danger.
One thing that's been impressive today so far, this back four of Chivas has dealt with every type of opportunity. You see here at the top of the box, look at all the red jerseys. There to block shots, make plays, poke a ball away.
Strong challenge, Castellanos.
They've been very organized defensively.
Trying to bull his way through was Moroni, who has also started the second half for Vasco.
I think if you're Eduardo Jr., trying to get Breno on the ball a little bit. He was probably the brightest in the midfield for this side.
Luis Felipe out wide.
He's now roamed a little bit, Phil, into the middle with the insertion of the substitute, Pablo Roberto Sousa.
You basically want him to play like that number 10.
Yeah, and he looks to have a roaming role at the moment. It's probably what they want. He's been the sharpest on the ball so far.
Headed high into the air on the bounce. This one could be dangerous. Flying into the challenge of Lucas Correa, but he does get it to midfield. Mateus, calm under pressure. Cappuccino.
What a great run here.
Leal into the corner, but the speed of Juanison getting there first, and he will win the goal kick.
That's a good job. Juanison wins this one, but Leal's not going to make it easy on defenders.
Something you were talking about earlier, playing the ball to feet, but the one extra weapon Chivas has are those speedy front players, and one of those long passes might be that break you were talking about.
They've got to get Camacho a little bit more involved on that left-hand side.
Ball slams off Rayan back to the middle. Chivas trying to come away with it. Castellanos. Camacho. Into the middle for Cappuccino, but Moscow gets it back. Rayan flicking it forward is Mateus, but offside. You can hear the wind picking up in intensity. 25-minute halves. If you were in charge of one of these teams that's been playing this week, how much do you change, or do you still try and play the style that you normally do?
I think at this age you play the style. That's what these clubs are built around.
Poked away.
The other factor, Phil, that it's really hard to equate is at what point for either, all these teams are at a different stage in their tournaments and their league play. At what point do the legs just start to give out?
Luis Felipe into the area. Breno trying to keep his cool, does help win the throw-in back. Luis Felipe Coutinho again. Kaiwa. Mateus poked away Gallegos, and it's off of the Brazilian, and they will make a substitution, their first of the match. Player coming out, Alexis Martinez, who scored against Houston. Player coming in, Cesar Calderon, who scored against ICC East. So one goal scorer out, another one in. And he'll slot right into the middle, so fresh legs in that center channel.
Yeah, no, you good, brother.
From distance, Igor trapping it on the goal line. Hernandez. And he'll roll it out with his left hand far side. Ball just slipping away. Roll falls for Igor. Trying to push down the line Mateus, but he got a little greedy. Now a chance on the counter for Chivas. Leal slammed away by Lucas Correa.
I'm getting the sense that Leal likes the contact. He likes bodying up with the big center backs.
Flipped back for Sanchez. Poking a free. Ryan. Paulo Roberto now knocking it back. Mateus dispossessed, trying to curl it around the defense into the area. Calderon, but slams into the back of Lucas Correa, and it's out for the goal kick.
Good job of Lucas riding out the defenders. This ball's being played down, getting kicked from behind, and able to ride it out here. As you saw there, Jose Padilla trying to figure out how to break this stingy Vasco da Gama defense down.
33rd minute of 50 reached. And the winner will face the victor in the finale of the quarters with Barcelona against Benfica. That getting underway at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific. 500,000 people plus watched this tournament last year in its debut. Of course, built on the foundation of the International Champions Cup, with the senior sides through the summer providing entertainment for soccer fans worldwide. They then added the ICC women and now the ICC futures. Started with the boys last year. This year they've added a 12-team girls division, and more action there coming tonight. Flying over that challenge was Kawat, far side, crossing it into the middle, and out to grab it, Hernandez just in time.
That's a nice job by Hernandez here as he plays long. This is a good ball played in, but he had to read the wind.
Lucas Correa leading with the shoulder, and that's going to be a foul. And it was actually Breno out on that far side with the cross.
And this ball hangs up in the air, and he's got to go a lot longer. And now he initially grabs it here, bounces around, but he's got his eyes on it. It's a good job, plays this long ball out, eventually draws the foul here. Well done, Santiago Hernandez.
Looks like Chivas about ready to make another switch, but they'll get this one underway.
Now this will be an easier ball to keep in play because it's an outswinger for the goalkeeper.
Leal drives it back post, slapped away Felipe. He was looking for that upper corner.
He had he had no thoughts about crossing this ball whatsoever, Phil. And you mentioned Felipe had to be sharp. There's not been much for him to do throughout the game. 2 opportunities, 1 early and now 1 in the 34th minute.
This goes out for the corner. Good technique on that save by Felipe.
Let's see what Leonardo Leal has in mind here. As this now will be an in-swinger.
Uribe coming over for the short corner, and the 2 Vasco defenders told to back away. 10 minutes into the second half. Driven in, Felipe to the near post, gets some help from his defense. And now Vasco trying to hit the accelerator. Igor slaloms to the middle, double teamed, burrows his way through. Soft pass, too soft, and Kawa sees it poked away. Again, it's that back four for Chivas, keeping everything in front of them. Again, out wide, facing the double team, touching it off of the Brazilian attacker. Chivas wins the throw in. And about to make the switch, it's going to be Santi Delgadillo, one of the two youngest players on this team.
Look at here, Felipe had to be sharp. That one had eyes for the upper corner.
Uribe out, Delgadillo in. I guess he got his paperwork in early, the only one with a 2-digit number.
Or they ran out of threes, one or the other.
Then again, his dad, a referee in Liga MX, Paul Delgadillo, so he knows the rules, we hope. Ball skips away past Breno. Igor trying to hold off. It's a tussle with Leal, as you said. He likes that contact. And then slammed away.
He gets into every tackle. Doesn't make it easy for defenders.
Touched wide, far side. Back into the middle for Paulo Roberto. Behind Kayan, though. Now Chivas trying to come down the line. Good step up, Juanison.
You see Leal here. He loses the ball initially, but he doesn't give up. He continues to battle Igor in the middle of the pitch, and eventually Igor picks it out, but he knows he's in a battle here, and this whole midfield now is starting to open up, and there's been some tackles.
Nice one there by Isaac Martinez. Chivas starting to get Vasco stretched out a bit, but they still need to find that killer ball. Out for another throw and another substitution for Vasco da Gama. Icaro checking in. Kawa will take a seat. Icaro Loreiro, midfielder for this Vasco da Gama squad. And he'll slide onto the flanks again for some fresh legs down the wing.
See here, Camacho pulled up. He's limping at the moment. He got into that tackle pretty hard down the left-hand flank.
Looking across the middle, peeling away Delgadillo if they can find him, but the ball curled off to the chest of Luis Felipe. One back by Chivas in the midfield. Leal in the 18. Leal into the middle, but there's Felipe again to end the dream.
Boy, how much fun is he to watch?
Driving it, Felipe. Nice outlet ball for Mateus Gomes. Gomes down the line. Has some help in front. Finding Icaro. Icaro off to the races, out wide, but one runner inside, the other one didn't.
It looked like he overthought that one a bit as he cut inside. It looked like he had a lane to continue to go to goal.
Chivas will get it back.
Yeah, 3-3-4.
Carlos Cernas coming in for Sandor Camacho. Forward for forward. And again, with the new rules, Camacho will just walk off the far side to speed things up.
And he's hurting down there. He's got a little bit of a limp.
This will be a little different also, the fact that Cernas, another one of those speedy strikers. Let's see what he can do. Leal against Igor. Like he's waving the red cape.
And they've moved now Leal into the middle of the field in a more traditional number 10 spot.
Nice ball from Cappuccino. Out wide, will it hold? Cernas giving chase, but runs out of room.
Look at this youngster. It's been a good matchup between Igor and Leal the last couple of minutes.
Credit to Igor for staying with him. Here the ball pops up. Hard challenge. Down goes Leal. And it will be a free kick about 30 yards out.
The referees decided not to give a card here, although that was borderline. But Leal, we've seen over the last couple of minutes, he went through him there.
Anderson just clearing the decks.
And Phil, if Leal had to go from this angle out wide, whoever's on it with the wind at their back right now, is likely going to have a look at goal with some power.
5 players on this back post now, 4, 1 in the middle and 1 on that far flank. We've seen a few tricky free kicks. Let's see if Chivas says something.
Free player out wide left, and now Vasco's just recognized it.
Back comes Icaro to defend. Ball from distance, lifted up, and they just discovered the wind.
Well, this one is going to have to be hit with power and pace through the laces instead of a bending ball, because when you bend it here, as you mentioned, this wind will just take it. That one wasn't even close.
Igor pistoning to that back line, pushing it forward. Icaro into the middle, looking for Paulo Roberto. Ball falls for Mateus, but he can't hold on. Oh, and Leal got clipped, but no whistle. Luis Felipe for Vasco. Icaro spins back to the middle, has help in Breno inside, bodied off the ball, and I guess turnabout fair play. Forward, flag stays down, but the ball carries all the way back to the Vasco keeper.
Gabriel Justi, the referees, decided to let these two teams figure it out. I'm going to guess we haven't seen our last tackle in this game.
9 minutes left to go. 50 minutes on the dot, plus or minus a few, but not the added time you're normally used to seeing. That might go to penalties. We haven't seen one on this first day of the elimination. Quarterfinals all ending in regulation so far. Vasco da Gama getting set to make a switch. Looks like it's going to be a bit more tactical. Defender coming in for a forward, it appears. Knotted down into the 18, trying to settle, but tackled away at the last moment before Mateus could get the shot away.
I believe that was Vergara that came across.
It was.
Eventually called offside.
Wouldn't have counted, but Vergara didn't know that. Take another peek at this one.
They have been impressive defensively here. This ball bounces around. Vergara coming in, closing. That's nicely done. Good read, good recognition.
So, looks like it's going to be Rafael Nobre, normally a right back, but it looks like he's pushing up to the wing just a bit, giving chase. Delgadillo crosses the goal line first.
As we saw in that first half, any balls play over the top, it's going to be difficult to have them check up.
Chivas being told to stay back and pick up near the midfield, forcing the clearance away. Second effort by Calderon. Delgadillo into the corner. Good step up by Sanchez to win it. Tries to cross it, keeps it in play. Second effort back for Delgadillo. And Sanchez threads it into the middle, but no one was moving. And it's back to midfield. Igor, but it's going to hang in that wind, which has slowed down just a bit. Payan on the turn, pulling it down. Mateus onto his right foot, but too many men to beat. Leal bumped off the ball by Igor, and a sympathetic whistle. Free kick in the center circle, and a yellow card. Probably persistent infringement.
Yeah, you may have seen this card a couple minutes ago coming.
And again, have to wait until there's a goal kick or their throw-in. So Chivas is going to have to wait. Arturo Morales ready to check in. Felipe normally might be thinking about taking a few yards off his line, but right now his heel's on the paint. Cappuccino and a game of catch.
I'm not sure that's the play Jose Padilla was yelling about here. I think he just wanted it chipped over the top, not over the goalkeeper.
Off the hands of Icaro, and free kick for Chivas. Vergara again down the line, headed back. Breno has not seen much of the ball in this second half. Did have one very dangerous cross. Sacra Martinez. Mateus for Vasco. Stepping in Rafael. And it's cleared to the midfield stripe. Chivas with a couple of subs ready to check in. Luis Felipe on the throw-in for Vasco. Igor nods it down. Breno rolls it wider, looking to turn Icaro Lujero. But too tight to that sideline. Touched away. It'll be a throw-in. Actually, looks like for Chivas. And a third substitution about ready to check in. Cesar Palma.
347 for 338.
And Arturo Morales both checking in. And Juan Pablo Uribe, who started this match, back out there. Then if you're wondering why the 3 digits, just the way the registration works in the youth ranks for Mexico, but something we talked about earlier, it does give you that little extra incentive to get down into the double digits.
One interesting thing here from Chivas, Jose Padilla, with all the changes, has not changed this back four. It's been all attacking players that have come in. He's happy with what he's seeing from his back four, and should be.
Johannesson out wide. Slammed to the midfield. Second effort cleared away by Lucas Correa. No changes in the center of defense for Vasco either. Here's Luis Felipe sending it long, but Chivas, that one could cause problems. Bouncing near the 18, edge of the area, but right at the edge, Felipe grabs hold. Actually did see one free kick called when the keeper went just an inch too far earlier in this tournament. Mateus dropping it back up forward for Rayan. Little heel flick, but he pays the price. Advantage played. Rafael's pass blocked away. Wonder if there'll be any housekeeping after this one goes out. But
nice job by Rayan to play that ball forward, and he knew he was about to get tackled.
Justo letting play continue. Ball skips away. Delgadillo trying to clear to the Vasco end. Igor intercepts. Trying to turn Icaro. Nice from Rafael. Rayan in a battle. Sanchez with him, and now he gets some help, and it's out for the corner.
Be an opportunity for Vasco to get some of these big bodies in the box. They need a good service. Service wasn't great with the wind in the first half. Be tough not to overshoot this one as well, as the wind's now blowing from this side of the field.
Santi Hernandez, the Chivas keeper, leaning back post with that in mind. Does have the front post guarded though. Vasco starts to run. The ball carries over everyone.
That's what we were talking about there. It's always going to be difficult to keep it on frame.
Rafael could not keep it in play. It'll be a throw-in for Chivas, and they'll have to wait for the substitution. 49th now into the 50th minute. 1 minute left, and we could have our first penalty shootout of this quarterfinal stage.
And this may be a substitution for penalty kicks. 2 substitutions, we'll see.
Raul Nuno checking in for Chivas. Delgadillo out. Paulo Roberto wants to come back in, and they will let him. So allowing that substitution with penalties in mind. About 30 seconds left. Roma and PSG both winning in regulation. Who will be the third team? This might decide it, but Hernandez at the top of the box, slapping it away from a charging Hayan Rocha, and almost a winner at the death. Igor, still not done. Taking it wide, driving it to the 18. Breno tries to settle, and it's whacked back to midfield, and that is going to do it. 50 minutes played, nothing decided yet. Scoreless at the end of regulation, and we are going to penalties.
Well, this game, I think, as it played out, deserved penalties. Two sides that were pretty even. A little more Vasco in that first half, a little more Chivas here. Vasco did have this late opportunity.
All the players, by the way, being told to stay on the field. There's a 2-minute break, but just to make sure that the 11 that were out there at the end will be the 11 that will line up for penalties. Well, you could say they're just 13, 14 years of age, Tony, but this is a rather prestigious tournament, even in just its second year. You had the chance to talk to several of the coaches, and there's a lot on the line. We saw Real Madrid when they fell against Roma. Some of the players with tears streaming down their face. You can't say it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, it certainly means something to all of these players. They know the clubs they're playing for. They know the history. They know they're in a tournament with some of the best teams in the world. They certainly want to win.
And on penalties, that can get exaggerated, because it's always team versus team. But now the spotlight shines on the individual. The goalkeeper, well, they always say you have nothing to lose when you're in there, because
and I agree.
they're expected to score. So
I always tell young goalkeepers, Phil, you take a poll of everybody sitting here and ask, is this guy going to score? Is the goalkeeper going to save it? More often than not, they think the ball's going to end up in the back of the net.
So in some ways, it could just be that one break. Maybe a break of concentration and a miss, maybe a shot well read, a lucky guess, but it could come down to that. And now the managers and the coaches putting down the numbers 1 through 11. It might take Chivas a little longer to do that.
There's not much separating these two goalkeepers as far as performance today. They've both been very good. They haven't had a lot to do, and as I said earlier, I think that's one of the more difficult games for goalkeepers to play in when you're not asked to be involved all that much. And we saw Felipe on 2 different occasions, and late in that one, Hernandez, the big save at the top of the box.
Again, really interesting, because they are different style keepers. Hernandez maybe a little bit more aggressive, trying to read, but a bit more textbook, if you will, for Felipe Oliveira. I guess you could say stopping the shots he's supposed to, which in some ways is also the case on these penalty shootouts. The two teams moving to midfield, the goalkeepers by the edge of the area.
I'll tell you, this was one of my most fun moments in the game. It was just before penalty kicks, when you were walking by yourself, thinking about what approach you were going to take in the game.
Didn't feel your stomach coming up to your throat?
Not at all.
You're a strange man, Tony Miola.
Well, been worse than that said about me, but.
And here we go. First kick for Chivas, and it's going to be Isaac Martinez. Felipe Oliveira and Santiago Hernandez being advised. Again, the new rule changes: not supposed to touch the post, not supposed to jump up and down and distract. I guess just stand there, Phil, like a duck at the arcade.
You're talking to someone that's old school. I talk about this all the time. If you can't score from 12 yards, it doesn't matter what the goalkeeper is doing. You should be able to score from here.
Martinez, the captain, going first. 12 paces between him and the giant Felipe, who pushes it off the post. He read the shot, guides it wide, and Chivas blinks first.
Yeah, the big man early in this one making his presence known. We talked about this Vasco side. They haven't given up goals in this competition, and there's Felipe on the first one, setting the tone for Vasco.
Looks like it's going to be Ryan Rocha, who had been going for the golden boot. His run might end at 4 if Vasco cannot stay alive. And a little strange, the two captains going first. Normally you think of playing your leading scorer 4th or 5th when a goal might be needed, but trying to take advantage right out of the gate. So now it's Hernandez. Toes on the line. Again, one foot needs to be on or above that goal line, or there could be a re-kick. Ryan from 12. Lines up the left foot. Sweeps, strikes off the fingertips and in, and that's the difference. One set of fingertips pushes it wide, and the other can't stop it. Vasco's in front.
Very good effort here by Hernandez, but Ryan just a bit better. Put some pace on that one. Hit it low. Hernandez made a good go for it here. Just couldn't push it wide. A good read. He was on it. And those are always painful, Phil, because you look back at those and you think, could I have cheated just a half a step earlier, split second earlier?
Now it's Uribe. Juan Pablo Uribe. The whistle. The stutter. The strike, and he's done it again. They went back to the left, the right of Big Felipe, and the Vasco giant coming up huge.
Well, there you have it once again. Felipe, we saw his shot-stopping ability from distance early in this one. We talked about what a presence he is in goal.
Well, I guarantee you the scouts have just scribbled a few more marks in red in their book.
Well, that's good explosion there, good extension. You see him dive forward just to cut the angle.
Now Breno. Steps, guides, again getting the fingertips Hernandez, but he dove past it, and Vasco da Gama is now up by 2.
Yeah, this one here, Hernandez goes to his left. Breno up the middle. That's one Hernandez is going to want back here. He goes the right way and almost dives too far, too early. Breno a bit fortunate there.
Now it's Cesar Palma, the defender who started this match on the bench. Again, another left footer, slapping the mitts threateningly is Felipe. Chivas desperately needs this one. The strike low the other direction. Felipe did seem to be leaning in the first goal of the match for Chivas.
Yeah, Felipe went the right way, but this is a well-placed penalty kick. See that view there, hard and low.
You're not going to miss that shot.
No, it's nicely done by Cesar Palma.
Now, stepping up to the spot, Mateus Gomes, the young midfielder for this Vasco squad, did much of the running, and now stepping into the spotlight. Can put Vasco a step away. The stutter, the strike, again off the fingertips and in. Where Felipe able to push the shots wide, Hernandez has not had the same fortune. It's 3-1.
Boy, a tough day here for Hernandez. It's one of those days he do almost everything right. Gets his hand on it once again and ends up in the back of the net.
Arturo Morales stepping forward, and this one is vital. If he cannot score here, it's over, and Vasco advances. Another left footer against Felipe Oliveira. The big mitts slapping the whistle, the step, the strike, and well delivered. Seemed to fake the Vasco goalkeeper a bit as it nestles in the back of the net. But did it delay the inevitable? Because now a goal from Igor would be good enough.
Well, this is nicely done. Calm penalty kick. Sends the goalkeeper one way. He pulls it back with his left foot.
Igor Toledo. The Chivas players at midfield looking for a little help from above. Santiago Hernandez has come close on all 3 kicks, but he needs to stop this one. Straight away, frozen. Igor lets out the breath, strikes it high, goes the other way. Chivas to its knees, Vasco to the semifinals.
Well, very well done here by Vasco in penalty kicks. It started with Felipe on the first kick, making that initial save to his right, followed up with that second save. And in the end, Igor, as calm as you like, puts this one side netting to have Vasco move on to the semifinals.
And looking at some of these youngsters, and this is when you realize, well, I was going to say you realize they're still kids, but there's grown men who cry at the ends of penalty kick shootouts as well. It's a lesson learned. But for Santi Hernandez, you got to feel for him. Getting a hand on 3, but unable to deny. And Vasco, on penalties, advances to the semifinals.
Yeah, and you see some tears here. And as you mentioned, you see this at every level of the game. Players give the effort. They put everything into the game. And it certainly stings when you come out on the short end of this result. But Chivas should be proud. They showed here that they belong with the best youth teams in the world.
And again, 3 of the 4 matches they have taken part in have gone to penalties. And while a scoreless regulation sent it to the tiebreaker, Felipe, the hero for Vasco da Gama. Good look at the youngster. And boy, has his stock gone up. Eduardo Jr. appreciating the effort from his young side. And it was Igor patiently putting it home. For Tony Miola, I'm Phil Shane. The final score on penalties. It was Vasco da Gama 4-2 in the tiebreaker to advance to the semis.
Hey, if he told you, no, boss, no. If he told you, no.